Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of our Filemaker series. Today we're going to be discussing, this is episode 5 by the way, episode 5. Today what we're going to be discussing is we're talking about, in our last episode, we did some pretty creative things. And one of the things that we did was we created this kitchen sands thing, if you guys remember correctly, and we put all of these boxes in there, and we just kind of, we created, what we did was we created a system where the kitchen could look at this and say, wow, look at all this stuff, you know, and would be able to actually build a sandwich. And we have it all listed out as breads and meats and cheeses, sauces, vegetables, whatever. And you'd basically put in all these boxes. Well, that is a perfectly viable method of being able to create this solution that we were looking for. However, today we're going to discuss a more viable solution for that because during that time I just kind of threw everything together. And the good thing about my videos, and the good thing about this particular video, or the last video, was that it showed us a really unique and alternative way of creating a solution to a very serious problem that we might have. And that is, the kitchen needs to know what we want, when we want it, and how we want that to be performed. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead and do an edit layout, and we're going to manage our database. And I want to create something a little bit different, something just a little bit different. So instead of doing what we did before with how we did this, because as you can see, we do have a relationship for our order in our invoice. And if you guys remember correctly, as you order it, it will appear the same way. So what I want to do is, instead of doing this items thing, which is perfectly fine, we can do the items thing if we want to, I'm going to create a completely different solution for it. And I'm going to call that, I'll make it, let's see, let's just call it sandwich, sandwich log. I don't know, sandwich log. That sounds good to me. And then the next one that I'm going to create will be, it'll be just called sandwich bar. That way they're both kind of the same and we don't have to worry too much about them. So if we go into our sandwich log, what are we going to need in that? Well, we're going to need an ID, which is kind of a big deal. And we will create that as a number. We'll create it. And in this one, we're just going to do, like, it'll just be a serial number, and we'll start with whatever the serial number is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In this particular case, I'm going to start, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 and 5 zeros, and we'll call that good. I like to do it so that you can maintain a certain number of numbers inside of there without having like 1 and then 111 and then or 11 and, you know, blah 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 blah. I don't like to repeat numbers if I can get away with it. So we'll try to do that. So we'll have this, and then we can have what we call we'll have this a table number. And that will just be a number, and we can have anything else we want to in there. But for now, I'm just going to call that good. And I'm going to switch to our sandwich bar. And now what I want to do is I want to be able to put in, this is actually going to be a portal. So we want to be able to have like an item number, but I want the ID FK, the very first thing I'm going to put in there. And that is just going to be a number, because we need to be able to link the two of them together. We need to be able to bring a relationship between the two fields, so or between the two tables. So we'll do the IDFK, and then what we're going to need is, we'll call it an item number, and that'll be a number. We'll do item name, and that'll be a text, and we'll create that. And then we need, if we want to be able to put prices and stuff in there, we need to be able to put, so that we can tabulate how much the sandwich is going to cost at the end. You can put in item price, and that will just be, obviously that's going to be a number. And then if you want the total amount, the best thing to do is you have item price already. Just click in the front, put an S underscore so that we know that that's a summary field, and that will basically just be a summary. And the summary will be a total of item price. So now when we put them in there, we know what the product is. So we can put the code in there, and we can put the name of it, like white bread or whatever the case is, whatever the instance is for it. And then we have like this. So we do want to go into our relationships, and we have sandwich bar and sandwich log. So we'll grab the ID and we'll click it to the IDFK, double click on the equal sign, and we'll allow the creation of records in both of these. Now, we may want on our sandwich log thing, what we may want is we may need like a code, which would be like the order code. So let's go back into our fields, and on our sandwich log, we'll just go ahead and put in our, let's do invoice code. And that one is just going to be a text, because text, remember, if you remember correctly, text can do both numbers and letters, whereas numbers can only do numbers. So sometimes it's good to use a text even if you're just going to put numbers in there, because you may want to generate something else at a different time. So there we go. We went ahead and we did that. Now this particular layout, we're going to just duplicate it, is what we're going to do. And so if you go into edit your layout and manage your layouts, you can go into this one, which is where it is. It says Kitchen Sans. And all we have to do is duplicate it. Now, if we wanted to, we just take this and we'll edit it. And we want to show records from, we'll just do the sandwich bar. Save records, script triggers, all that other neat stuff. We'll say OK. And now if we go, we're not there yet, so let's close it down. So now if we go to our sandwich copy here, we'll see that now there's all these things are like all messed up, right? So, but the best thing to do is just, because all we want to do is just create something that we can use. So we're just going to delete all this stuff. We just wanted the page. And we put a track number in there. So here what we're going to do is we now have this, so we need to go in and we need to create this portal tool. And we're just going to create a giant portal in here, as big as we might need it. My computer is running a little bit slow, isn't it? Pretty much as big as we need it to be for what we're trying to do. So we want to show records from sandwich log. And we can sort the records. We can allow, we do want to allow the vertical scrolling. We don't need to necessarily sort the records, because if we sort the records every time, it kind of makes it a pain in the butt. So this time we're just going to want it to add them in a line, exactly as it's going, as it's happening. And it shows 17 rows. So maybe what we should do is we'll leave it there for now. Now here we've got our ID, our table invoice number. You know what? I showed them from the wrong, didn't I? Cancel. Cancel. So obviously this one is from the wrong one. Portal setup needs to be, instead of sandwich log, it needs to be from sandwich bar, current table sandwich bar. But as you can see, you can't do that. So we need to cancel this. And let's go back to our, go to our layout and layout setup. So this one is Kitchen Sans copy, and it's from sandwich bar. We need it to be from sandwich log. No, it's correct. because this is sandwich log. That's correct. So let's go into our field picker. We'll find out what in the world is going on. So the sandwich bar table, this is table. All right, make sure it says here sandwich bar. So layout, setup. Sandwich log, okay. Field picker. So here's our sandwich log. So this is where we actually get our table number, which we could put down here. And I'm gonna, let's do this. Click off of that. We're gonna move this out. And we're gonna make this just a little bit bigger because it's pretty darn small. So I'll make it 24. Just like that. Now you don't necessarily need a listing of what it is. So if you wanted to, you could put table number above it or below it or however you wanted to. We can move this up just a little bit if we need to. So that if you wanted to, you could grab this table number and put it dead smack in the center like that. Press and hold shift, grab them both. Put them both like that. So now we've kind of got a better thing. We'll do an invoice. We'll do our invoice code. Put it over here. This is something that we don't really necessarily need to see, so it's not that big of a deal. And then we've got our ID. Now the ID does have to be on the field. It can be absolutely anywhere on the field though. So we'll just put it here. And we will get rid of that little ID thing. And we'll call it good. So now when we go into our this thing, into our portal, we can basically start to build our setup. Field picker for sandwich bar. Okay. So here we'll have our item number, and it has to be dead in the center, so it has to be correct. Oh, what in the world is this? Why am I having such issues? Delete. Portal setup is sandwich log current sandwich bar. Say okay. See if it'll bring it up, because we're just like we kind of made it weird. So it's sandwich bar. Let us set it up, dorks. So field picker for, that's sandwich log. For sandwich bar, we want item number. What in the world is it doing? All right. So I'm just going to delete it because it's being a pain in my butt, which does happen from time to time. It does happen. And we'll just recreate another one. And we want this one to be from sandwich bar. And we will allow the vertical scrolling, and we'll say okay. Now it will actually give us the dang, because before it wasn't giving them to us. So we have to be able to move them, and that's kind of the weird thing. So we do need to know the item number, the item name, and the item price. And so now we have item number, item name, item price. It automatically sets them. And if we click on them, we can actually move them, which is kind of cool. So if we hold the shift button and we click on all of them, We can actually make them bigger. No, we can't. Not going to let us make them bigger. Use, okay. Why is portal setup? Why am I having an issue with this? Layouts. Because what I want to be able to do is I'm wanting to be able to make them bigger so that you can read them, because that's kind of the weird thing is if you can't read them. So if we go, I wonder if we change this to 12 and see what happens. Nope, it won't work. So you can set this up as 16, which is what we had before. All right, we're just going to leave it like that. We're going to take our item number and we're going to make it small because we don't need it to be very big. We'll take our name, item name, and we'll make that much larger. And our item price we can make smaller because we don't need it to be very big. We'll move it all the way to the outside. Now we can, if we feel like we don't need this to be quite as, we can, or I think we should be able to, move it. We can. Okay. There, oh, there we go. So that's the one that we actually would move to make them bigger. Portal setup, and we'll just do 10 rows. Extend off the, do you wish to increase the size of the layout? Yeah, sure. Okay. So now if we made, because right now we made it giant. Let's make it just a little bit smaller because it's kind of a little bit too much. And now if we take this one and we press and hold our thing, we should be able to make it bigger. So let's do 24. That works for me. Because we want to be able to see them. That's like the big thing. We want to be able to see everything that we're doing while we're doing it. Now the bad thing is you only got 10 of these. So you've only got 10 spaces that you can actually use. So you've got white bread, meat, blah, 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 blah. So if you need more of them, you might have to move some things around. So what we could do is let's take our, let's look at our line here. Okay, so this is where we're basically stuck at. Let's take our invoice and our code and let's put them over here. And I think what we'll do is we'll make them a little bit smaller. And this one we don't need. So the code we'll put to the top. Table number, we'll put that over here. Now we can make this a little bit bigger, and we can now go into our portal setup and we can make this to 12 lines. And that covers like the whole thing, see? So, and that was kind of our point, was we want to be able to get the maximum amount out of it. Come on. And our header, we lost our footer, which is, I guess, okay, although I didn't really want to lose my footer. All right. Portal setup, so instead of 10, we'll do 11. And these are dead in the smack in the center. And if you question whether or not they're dead smack in the center, best thing to do is remove one and then get one of them right dead smack in the center. You can usually see that it's in the center, and then you can just pull the other ones up to it. Because that sometimes is kind of a pain in the butt. Item name, item price. And the price we're going to put way the heck over here. And we'll set it to that one side. We do need some space at the bottom. That's the thing, is we do need some space at the bottom, because when we do our field picker, we can do the field picker, and we can, but we need to get from the sandwich bar, we need to get the summary price total, see? So we don't want it to have any of that stuff, but we're going to bring it down here. We need to put it right dead below the item price. It's kind of a big thing. And we'll close that off. So now we have these three sections. We have the item name, the item price, the item. So when we go back to our, and I think it's Mama Lunch special, Mama Lunch. Okay, if we create this item, it brings us to this page. Remember this page? This is the page where we're going to put like all kinds of other things in here. So, but we do want to check out, let's check out our breads thing. So if we did white, okay, so we do have an optional script parameter down below. So it's actually going to go to where we want it to go. So let's click on, instead let's click on sandwich specs so that we can actually bring up that. So we're going to set a field, the product code, which is get the script parameter. We'll set that variable as that product code. We'll freeze the window, go to layout, inventory sales. So this is the layout where we want to change. We want it to actually go to our layout, which I believe I just called it Kitchen Sans copy. And oh, no, I just messed that up. The good thing is you can just cancel it and say don't save, and then you can click back on it if you want to, and it will be right back where it was. So it's going to the inventory. I know my brain is a little bit fried this morning. I had a lot of weird stuff going on this morning with my computer. Can we move from one cell to another by right or left arrow keys instead of enter or return or tab key? No, you cannot. Simple answer, no. I mean, you would have to set them up in a tab order, and then that would just be like, I'm trying to think of how to make that work. It would have to be, you'd have to set up a hotkey or something. You'd have to set one of those up as a hotkey. I mean, you could make it work, but short answer is no. Rana Arif. So we'll freeze the window, we'll go to the layout, inventory sales, enter the find mode, we'll find the product. Now, at this point, once we find the product, we're going to set the product name, its price, and then we're going to go to this Kitchen Sans, which is not what we want to do. Go to layout, Kitchen Sans, items. Well, that's not what we want to do. We want to go to layout, and this layout is going to be Kitchen Sans copy. And then what we want to do from here is we want to go to, at this point, we want to go to portal row. So we're just going to come down here, we'll say go to, and it'll say go to portal row. And if we double click on it, we can bring that up right underneath of our go to layout. So go to layout, go to the portal row, and we can put that information in there. But one thing that we want to do first and foremost is we want to make sure that our tracking number is the same as the number on the deal. So here we've set a variable, and that variable is track, so tracking. So what we want to do is when we get to that other place, when we get to the other field, or to our other layout, which will be Kitchen Sans copy, when we get here, we need to be able to compare codes, right? So if we manage our database, what we can do is we can put in, here we can put in item, what do we have? It was in this one. Invoice code. So here we can have invoice code comp, and it'll just be a text. So now let's go back to our, let's just go in and manage our scripts, because we don't have very many scripts, right? And then this is the one that's going to be up. It's going to be sans specs. So we want to go to our layout, And then from here, we want to set a field. And the field that we want to set is going to be the invoice code comp. And the calculator result is going to be this $track number. If you guys were with me on the last one, by the way. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to be able to compare those two fields together. Now you can say, set this, if this variable is not the same as this. So I find it better to just go ahead and put it in like what we just did. And now what we can do is we can put in an if statement. So if, and we'll say if item comp code is equal to the invoice code. So I'm just going to do if invoice code is equal to invoice comp code, or is not equal to. Let's do that instead. Let's erase all this stuff. Delete it. So if invoice code is not equal to invoice comp code, then this is where we want to create a new, we'll create a new file. So we'll just create a new record. And the best way to do that is just say new record request. New record request. And then we can either halt the script or we can continue on with what we're doing. So this would be this is a tough one because what we want to do is we want to be able to create a new record if we need to. But then we still want it to be able to do the same thing as before. So create a new record. So if they're not equal, then it will just create a new record. If they are equal, then we'll go to the portal row first, which I believe is correct. One of them is first, one of them is last. We'll figure out which one. No big deal. And then we're going to set a field. Now this field we've already set. Set field, sandwich log, invoice track. So we've done that. So this line is not necessary. Now what we need to do is we need to set those three fields. And the first field is going to be our item number. So in the sandwich bar, item number. And that item number is going to be this one, the product code. So if you do, you should be able to put in $product. $product. And the second field that we want is we want to know the name. That's kind of a big thing. So this field is going to be in the sandwich bar, and it's going to be item name. And we want that to be calculated result will be, and as you see here, we put $name. So $name. And here we want the item price. And then this is where we did the $price. So now basically what it's going to do is it's going to start keeping track of all the stuff that you put in there. And then we have if order number is not equal to order track number, new record request. Well, we already did that up there. So this, we can delete this one. And then we don't need to set the field breads because that doesn't really matter anymore. And we can go back to our original layout, show custom dialog, selection added. Your selection has been added. Halt the script. Now let's just see what happens when we do this. So if we come into here and we go back to our, let's create exit layout, new record. Okay, so here we have no new numbers, but one of the things that we want to make sure that we do is we have to create a number. So here, this one is 5 or 50,000 or whatever the case is. And I'm going to edit the layout really quick because it just bothers me that it's not in the middle. So we're just going to put it dead in the center like that. We're going to put it all the way the heck down here on the bottom somewhere. I will get a footer back into here. I don't know why I took the footer out, but layouts, part setup. I want to create a footer. Okay, now there's my footer back. Done. So now if I go to, let's see, let me get rid of my line. I'm gonna raise this up a little bit. Move my stuff around. So I want it to be right on the money. Okay, so now if I go into here and I lay in my line, I can take this footer and bring it down to below, and then I can put this down here in the footer, which is just fine. I don't have to, it doesn't have to be like in some specific spot, but it can be in the footer if I want it to be. Or let's just do this. Let's move this down just a little bit. Therefore, I could just put it right there. Don't even have to worry about it. I can put it really close to the deal. I'll put my ID over here too, just to get it out of my way. This one is in the center. While we're here, let's just go into our inspector really fast because we want to make sure that this one is monetary. So in data, we want it to be currency, and then we want it to be fixed number of decimals, and system settings. And in this one, it's also going to be currency. So we just need to make sure that we're doing these things, because sometimes I tend to forget that they are there, and then I don't do them, and then I come back and I'm like, what happened? So this is almost the same as setting up your invoicing. And from here, what we're going to do is this will obviously be attached to our invoicing, so that we're not going to do it like right at this very second, but we will do it actually. So it will be hooked to the invoicing, so that when you do have a product that you're that you're selling, that someone's creating, whatever, that it will go to the invoice as a whole unit. So when someone says, I'm done with my sandwich making, then, you know, I'm done with it, whatever the case might be. Then it will take this data and will send it, if that makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense. Okay, so our invoice code over here has got to be the same, this invoice code has got to be the same. So currently we can put numbers in there, and I think the code from the let's see if it was 5 and then 1 2 3 4 5. So okay, so it was 5 and then 5 zeros. So now if we go back to our copy, we can put a 5 and 1 2 3 4 5 zeros after it. If we edit the layout, we can put this in the center, because you guys know that I'm anal about all that stuff. And then we'll put our table number here. Now, the one thing that we did not do in our script was we didn't do anything with the table number, right? Because we didn't even have a table number to deal with. But we are going to put that in there. So, but first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to run this script. So if we exit the layout, we'll go back to Mama, and from Mama we'll go to Lunch Foods, and we'll create an item, and we'll get to this point. And then this is, once you push the finished button, it's going to go grab all that data and it's going to come back. But what we don't have here is a table number, and that's kind of a big deal. So those table numbers will have to be assigned. So if we go into edit our layout, and we go into our field picker, as you'll tell, we do have a table number here that we can draw out. And if we exit the layout, the table number we can have is 15 or whatever the case might be. And of course, when we do set a table number, we want to make sure that that table number is something that cannot be changed here, but can be changed. So stay tuned for later episodes, because what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that menu. We're going to go back to like when that waitress or waiter or waitstaff person hands the person the iPad or the tablet, that they can put the table number in as just before they do it. So they'll actually be able to go in, they'll be able to select a table, and then that whole system will work out. Sorry, I was just watching the things that were going on with Start. Okay, so what we'll do is if we exit the layout, we can go into our tools and go into our script debugger. What this does is it gives us the ability to look at what's going on when it's going on. So we'll go into our whitebread because we know that we did that. And F6 will step right into it. So from F6, we're going to go ahead and set our variable, which is this product code up here. And we're going to go ahead, oh no, it's actually the variable, this variable is actually going to be our script parameter, right? And then we're going to set it, set field, product code. Did we put a field in here, product code? All right. Now we're going to go to, and we're going to search for this product. And as you can see, it's finding it. So it's found the product, it's found the value of it, and it's set the price. And now we're going to go to our Kitchen Sans copy. And it's going to put in, it should put in a number. You know what I didn't do? I didn't put that comparison. I didn't put the comp field in the deal, so it's not gonna be able to do it. Let's just end it. Your selection has been added, so it's gonna just go through and do it. I keep forgetting to do all this stuff. Kitchen Sans copies. See how it did add it, by the way, because when we stopped the script, it finished it. Edit layout. We do need a field picker, and that field picker is, we need that invoice comp. And we'll just call that good. And so now if we click on it, we should be able to, what in the heck is going on? These fields do not have to be lit up. What I mean by that is you don't have to have a background on them if you don't want to. So we can change how all this stuff interacts with itself. But one thing that I do want to do while I'm here is I'm going to go into my inspector and my position, and I want to center all of these on the center line. So align on vertical centers is kind of what I want to do. Now, if you haven't noticed, this is not centered. So it's going to be a little bit odd. Now if we go in and we do that same thing, it'll change it just slightly. Okay, so now they're all there. So we now have figured out that in this sense that it has said, okay, you've got this, it'll be white bread, and then this. So what we have to do from this point is we have to go in and create like our meats and our other one, but at least now we have the deal so that when people are creating a sandwich, they can actually create it. It'll give you the number, all the data, all the information. And one thing that we do need to do is when doing the edit the layout, I want to be able to have a button, and that button is basically going to be, this will be complete. And right now we're going to tell it to do nothing. But what it is basically is it is a system where your kitchen personnel can press the button and it'll say we've completed the sandwich, and then once the sandwich has been completed, it will send the data and blah 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 blah, and they can move to the next. It gives them the ability to move to the next sandwich that needs to be made. So they'll just go from one to the next to the next to the next. Now, if you want to, you can actually create a system where they could select it by going to the next, going to a field that actually says, okay, this table and this table and this table. But what this will do is it'll basically just give them the ability to go from one to the next to the next to the next. So as those orders come in, they can build those orders, and they'll know what table number they go to and all that. I don't own a restaurant, so for me it would be pretty difficult to be able to tell you how to run a restaurant, but hopefully this will give you some tools that you can actually work with. So if we exit our layout and we go back to our kitchen sans, I believe, nope, it is menu Mama Lunch Special. We can always set this up as the table number. So when we are doing our scripts for this, if we edit the layout, double click here, double click on this one, and we go into here, we can always tell it to, in this particular set, we can say we want it to set a variable, and that variable will be the table number. So we'll just type in table, and we'll specify that it is the table number. And then when we get down to here, where we're actually setting all of our stuff up, we can go to, before we go to this layout, we can, once you go to that layout, let's just go to the layout, and then we will set a field. No, because I want to do it, I'll go down here and set a field. We'll set that field sandwich bar. Sandwich log table number, and that will be $table. So at this point, now we'll set that number, but you can add an if statement in there, which is going to be kind of a big deal. So you can say if it's already empty, set the table number. If not is empty, set, so you basically need to rewrite a script, or write a script that would say, if this is a current, if it's already full, if not is empty, which is kind of a big deal. So if not is empty, then we'll put it in there. And so I would probably go ahead and grab this and move it here. And we'll say if, double click on it, not, and then we'll just type in is, so is empty, and the field will be the table number, but you got to make sure you're in the right one. Table number, then, no, where's my brain today? So if it is empty, then set it. Not if not is empty, don't set it. So if it is empty, then we want it to set that field. So let's go back. I don't know why I'm thinking is not is empty. Just gonna get rid of all of it, type in is. If is empty, table number. Then we can take this set field and put it up here. So set field, what is wrong with this? Sandwich log table number, there we go. I thought I'd put it up there, but I guess I didn't. So if it is empty, the sandwich table number, then go ahead and add the table number to it. And that kind of goes right along with this new record request, because if we create a new record, it's going to instantaneously give us a new, it'll give us a new a new invoice number, a new record number, and it'll be nothing. It'll be blank. So therefore, that's what this will actually help create. So, and once we're done, then it will. And one of the things that I think though is if we go to portal row, I think we need to go to the portal row last instead of the first run. So let's try this with our bread and see if it works. We'll save it. Exit to layout. Breads, white. We'll select another white. It says your item has been selected. So now if we go to our kitchen stands copy, we'll see that it has officially selected it. It has put our table number in there. And then once we complete, we're up to $2, 2 slices of bread. I haven't put them on anything else, just FYI. So, but I will. So you guys play with this a little bit and figure out how you want it to work. But this is basically how you would do it. And this tablet would be in your kitchen, and your kitchen people would, as they put this in, which is kind of interesting, as the customer is putting these products in, they will appear on this list. The very second that they push them, they will appear on the list. But this, if you've got multiple people putting in multiple sandwiches, it will only put in you'll only see the completed ones, basically. So unless you are on that file as it's being created. So once people push the, let's go back to the layout that we were at. Once people push this I'm finished button, then they're finished. Now, one thing that we did want to do with this is we wanted to be able to create a portal row or something in here where people could see what it was that they were actually ordering. Remember? That's what we were talking about. And that would be exactly the same thing that we just did. So in this one, where we are on, if you go in and you push edit layout, you can see you're on table mama. And you're on the layout lunch, mama lunch special. So with this table being the table that it is, record show from mama, then you need to create another, just going into manager database, you just need to create another relationship between mama, because you can see you have no relationships right now with mama at all. This is the menu part of it. And so we would need to create another table with fields in it, like the IDFK field, that would bring that, you'd be able to bring in a portal, which is kind of necessary to be able to see what it is that you're ordering when you're ordering it. So in this case, we'll go to tables, and we've got mama here, so we can just put in mama portals, and we can create it. And then so from here, you'd need the IDFK. Control N, which is a number, so we'll create it. And then you would need the exact same thing as we had before. So here you'd have item, and that would be a text, or actually that's a number because it's an item number. I don't know why I capitalized. I'm so used to capitalizing it, so we'll create it. Item name, and that will be a text. Okay. I don't know why I pushed that. That'll be a text. And then we'll have item price, and that'll be a number, and we'll create it. So those 3 items are kind of the big thing that we need. The IDFK, which will link them together, and then these particular 3 things that we can add into here via a portal. And if you want, you can also put in with your item price, you can also put in, you can go over here and press the S underscore S item price, and that one would be a summary. Create, and that is a total of item price. Same as what we did before. We can say okay. And now if we wanted to, we can go in and we can set our portal row, portal tool, and it doesn't actually, this one doesn't even have to be that big. and we can just say oh, you know what? I can't do that. Cancel, because I forgot to relate those two, didn't I? So relationships between Mama and Mama portals. The ID and the IDFK. You have to link those two together. Double click. Allow creation of records in both of these. Now if we went in and we created our portal, we can say from Mama portals, and we'll say allow vertical scrolling, okay. And now it will give us the ability to move over the item name, the item number, and the item price. And there they are. This one, you're going to have to make sure that you change it to currency, which we kind of know what that, we knew that that was going to happen, right? So, currency. Fixed number of decimals, system settings. And that, therefore, they can keep track of how much it's costing them. And one of the things that we can also do is we can put in a button that will remove them from the thing, but it will also go and remove the product from, so if your sandwich maker is there and he's making that sandwich, just as someone is doing it, they're actually putting it in and they're like, okay, he wants white bread. And then the guy goes and changes it. So you might want to make sure that you wait for those to finish, but I'm sure it will work out just perfectly for you guys. So item number, item name, kind of a big deal. Item price, make it a lot smaller so our item name is big. There we go. And now we can, and the cool thing is we can move this wherever we want it to. So, and it's just as simple as adding it to our script. Managing our scripts, you'd basically, when you come back from where you were, so here you would say go to original layout, and then we would now go to that portal row and we would put this exact information in as we just did. Go to the portal row last and create fields just like that. The big thing about creating records on a menu set is I don't like doing that at all. So what I would probably do was I would probably create, instead of this being on a menu, I'm going to unrelate the two, the Mama and the Mama portal. So in our database where we have these two relationships, what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to separate them, and I will create this on a different page. So that way when we're creating records, because you don't want your menu page to create thousands of records, because you've got pictures and you've got all these other things on that page, and anything that's related to menu you'll be recreating it. And so I don't want to do that. So in order to have it more blankified, I guess you might say, I'm going to this page I will create under a different heading. So it'll probably just be menu 2 or something, and then we'll go there, and then therefore when we create records with these two, it won't affect the Mama, your main menu or your menu items. Kind of a big deal. So I will do that. So stay tuned to the next one. The next one we're going to probably add some pizzazz to this, and we'll go into that relationship. I'll show you guys what is up with that relationship and how those things work. So until next time, guys, thank you very much for watching me. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you very much, and bye.